She had me at hello. So, deep, dark admission, I'm an ad guy, and we're not an industry really known for you know, advocacy, sustainability, and social good, but our agency's a little bit different. And I'm really happy to be here. Mind you, as a Canadian, I'm happy to be across the border without a cavity search, so happy as happy can be. It's amazing that I've been in the advocacy space in cycling for 30, oh my God, okay, can I say 35 years I've been doing this. And I've never attended the summit, so thank you so much for the invitation. It's such an honor to be here and meet so many luminaries that I've followed, stalked, read over the years, so it's a real pleasure. So first of all, just very quickly, our agency is a little bit unique in the marketplace. We actually specialize in a consumer that we call the AHA consumer, active, healthy, affluent, aware. They're sort of the epicenter of influence when it comes to things like social cause, active transportation, the multimodalism that we're talking about here. And so it's a space that we're very comfortable in. But to be authentic in that space, it has to emanate through the DNA of our agency. So, you know, we put things in place like our Bike to Work program. We actually pay our staff to ride their bikes to work. They get an honorarium of $5 a day. We provide lockers, showers, indoor secure bike storage, and we even brokered a deal with a bike manufacturer to provide sponsored bikes for our riders, for our employees. We won the City of Toronto's Bicycle Friendly Business Awards. We just won Smart Commute's Employer of the Year Award for our programs, and as Eleanor so kindly said, we're being nominated for another award right now. Why am I doing this? For really business reasons. I'm a cyclist, and I will ride till I can't ride anymore, and I will advocate cycling for health and well-being, absolutely. But as a businessman, I do it because guess what it does for me? It helps me attract the best and brightest people, helps me retain the best and brightest people. It creates an incredible culture of community and advocacy, which impacts our business on so many different levels. It also allows us to work with active lifestyle brands with authenticity. We live this talk, and that's incredibly important. In terms of the consumer space that we're in, it's an interesting space. This active, healthy space is a $290 billion business in North America. $40 billion, which is spent in active transportation. So it's a space that you guys need to get to know a little bit more. We've been in it for a number of years. We have a very large database of these AHA consumers in US and Canada. We work across both sides of the border. And we actually published an annual survey that polls about 30,000 of these consumers that gives a lot of insights in terms of what they want in terms of infrastructure, how they spend, how they purchase, what media they consume, how do we reach them. So this is a space that we really felt important to invest in because we felt it sort of serves my secret plot to take over the world with bikes. Oh, I'm sorry, I did that, but it is what it is. I want to talk a little bit about this campaign and how the creative came about. There's been so much talk today about building common ground, and we really believe that that's key. I was riding along a fairly major thoroughfare with a bunch of my friends, commonly known as mammals, middle-aged men in Lycra. And, but luckily that day, we had more than middle-aged men. We had a number of younger male riders. We had about 6 or 7 female riders with us. And we were on a lovely 80-kilometer, that's 50 miles for you guys, ride on a beautiful Sunday. And as we were approaching the last 10 kilometers of a ride, a large, I think it was like an Escalade pulling a boat, came up beside us, and as the road got narrower, he didn't give way and literally squeezed about 3 or 4 of us into the ditch, onto the sidewalk. And luckily, we were good enough bike handlers that nobody crashed, but he didn't really care. So I was sort of at the back watching all of this happen. Okay, I was wheel sucking, I'm sorry. I was at the back watching all of this happen, and unfortunately this guy did it right before a red light. So we had these very angry mammals descend upon him, and I was literally watching spittle come across between the two parties, and I, in a Zen-like moment, rode up between the sparring parties, Lycra versus golf shirt, and I said to the driver, the only thing I just want you to think about is that we're brothers, mothers, sons and daughters out here. And let me just leave you with that thought. We parted ways, he turned left, we followed after him because that was the route we were doing, and he took off. Then all of a sudden he pulled over. I thought, uh-oh. Bad things happen when drivers pull over after these kind of interactions. So he got out, his face was beet red, and I was looking for a tire iron in his hand or something. But he waved me down, and when I came to stop, I realized his face was red because he was in tears. And sorry, I'm about to choke up even talking about this because it was such an emotional moment. And he said, I get it. Thank you. Very, very powerful moment. And that moment inspired this campaign. And I think we can all create moments like that in every dialogue. I've been on so many seats of the advocacy piece here. I've been a crazy, radical, placards in front of City Hall. I've been in the business, the bicycle business, for 10 years. And before I sold my soul, I got into the advertising business, slightly. And that's really what this thinking was. It was about building common ground. We are a community of tribes, many disparate tribes. And it's time that we start beating to the same drum. And that's important for this to move forward. And I want to give you a great example of how we build a narrative. Because that's what my business is. Building a narrative for brand, building a narrative for campaign. I want to help everybody in this room build your own narrative and find this common ground. So, everybody heard of the Pan Am Games? Yes?
Yes.
I got drafted into a position to be the chair of the fundraising committee for the Pan Am Velodrome for 2015. And I had a lot of friends who asked me, why did you volunteer for this incredibly time-consuming, pretty onerous job of raising $56 million to build a world-class velodrome? Who uses velodromes? I mean, come on, it's elite cyclists, right? Thank you, thank you. But I realized it was an incredible opportunity to engage the imaginations and the participation of all the disparate groups in this world that I call cycling, to get behind something that literally can change the health and well-being of Canadians. So why did I think this? Well, let's look at what happened in England. They built Manchester Velodrome over 20 years ago. They put programs behind it to support that facility. They created world-beating athletes like Mark Cavendish, Bradley Wiggins, who not only won many medals at the World Championships and the Olympics on the track, but as you know, Bradley Wiggins won the Tour de France. A little race in France, you get a little bit of notoriety from that. And what that meant is it built fame for the sport in England. And by building fame for the sport, they've seen increases in ridership in the last 10 years of over 40%. 20 years ago, I attended a race in England, and as cyclists, we were persona non grata on the road. We had to wear black kit and ride early in the morning so cars wouldn't hunt us down, basically. Cycling in England now has transformed incredibly. You have Sir Richard Branson running Grand Fondos now. And it is an incredible sea change that's happened there. How did it start? With a velodrome. So how is this going to impact Canada? It's going to inspire more people to ride. It's going to bring youth into the picture here. And it's going to improve the health and well-being of Canadians. That is the narrative. The challenge for all of us here is to connect the dots. There are groups here that are occupying a dot over here, and some of you are occupying a dot over here. We need to connect those dots. So I'm an ad guy, so I'm going to show you a quick little example of how you build a narrative. I'm going to use a brand that everybody knows, Ben & Jerry's. I'm a vegetarian. I try not to eat too much dairy product, but I do succumb to Ben & Jerry's once in a while. The key around building a narrative is to really understand who you are, what you do, who you do it for, and the most important thing, why you do it. Being in the bike advocacy space for 35 years, I've recognized that we talk about what and how constantly. and we don't focus on why. That's what that AAA and CAA campaign are all about. It's about the why. Ben & Jerry's, they talk about who they are, they talk about what they do, they talk about who they do it for, and they focus on why they do it. You also need to understand your character. If you're a developer who wants to support cycling infrastructure, or you're working at the advocacy level for a local club, fighting your battle with local politics, you have very different characteristics. Understand what those are. Own them. Be honest with that. Be clear on what your values are. And in Ben & Jerry's case, they're different. They're not some milquetoast brand. They're quirky. They owned it. So their brand essence boils down to outrageous ice cream with a conscience. And their execution, 100% fluent to that. And that's where we need to get to. We can't be thinking this, saying this, and doing that. It doesn't work. It's about building a fluent narrative to make our case to all the stakeholders, and we will win. Thank you very much.
That's Sir Bradley Wiggins. Thank you, Harold. That was awesome. Really insightful stuff, really valuable stuff.